My name is Alexandria Doyle. I'm 34 years old, the youngest daughter of the Doyle family, a name that still means something in Granite Hollow, Utah, even if it hasn't earned respect in years. My mother, Margaret, is the kind of woman who walks into a room like she owns the oxygen, and my older brother Oliver followed suit before he could spell inheritance. Me. I left town at 20 and never looked back. I was the girl who talked to trees, fixed broken radios, and asked too many questions. Not exactly Doyle material. I always thought the distance kept me safe from their shadows. But 2 weeks after my grandmother's funeral, a lawyer's call dragged me back, and nothing I've survived before prepared me for what that woman did after death. Turns out, my mother didn't just want the mountain lodge. She rewrote history to make sure I'd disappear with it. The envelope was thick, heavy in my palm. Name typed clean, Alexandria Doyle. No Lex. No warmth. Inside, legal papers, a summary of the will, and a signature, Beatrice Caldwell's name, inked with deliberate strokes, dated 1 week before she passed, transferring full ownership of the lodge, her home, her legacy to Margaret Doyle, my mother. The air around me bent inward. My grandmother had handwritten me a letter the night before she went unconscious. I'd read it a dozen times, the corners soft from how tightly I folded it. In it, she said, "The lodge is yours. The real will is with Fiona. Don't trust anyone, not even blood." I looked at the signature on the legal copy again. It shouldn't exist. Not dated like that. Not when Bea could barely hold a spoon. I hit the road within the hour. Granite Hollow greeted me with bitter air and sideways glances, the kind of small town where news travels faster than weather, and I was walking gossip. Snow glazed the roads. Lodgepole pines bowed under weight. The sun hadn't broken the clouds in 2 days, but my mother's SUV gleamed in the driveway like a polished lie. The lodge stood unchanged from the outside. Cedar siding, rusted wind chimes, smoke curling lazily from the chimney. Inside, chaos. Contractors moved in and out. Plastic sheeting covered walls. The living room, BEA's sanctuary, was gutted. Hardwood exposed. Antique lamp shattered. I stepped in, boots scraping. The air smelled like varnish and betrayal. Margaret turned from the kitchen island like she'd been expecting me. "Lex," she said, voice honey slick, "you should have called first. We're under renovation." "We." She motioned behind her. A man I didn't know nodded, clipboard in hand. "Renovating." I echoed, "You're selling it." Her smile didn't crack. Bea wanted the property to move forward, not rot in nostalgia. My voice was cold. "She didn't give it to you." Margaret blinked. "You haven't seen the signed addendum?" I tossed the envelope on the counter. "I have. I also have her letter, handwritten, saying the exact opposite." She tilted her head. "Letters don't hold in court, darling. Legal documents do." She was sedated the week that was signed. "Grief makes memory unreliable," she said. "You know that." I did, but I also knew forged signatures, and lies spoken with too much ease. That night, in the motel off Mill Road, I replayed the voicemail. BA's voice, thin but firm. "If anything happens, the lodge is yours. She can't have it, Lex. Don't let her." The timestamp? 48 hours before the alleged will was signed. Something was wrong. Dead wrong. Next morning, I drove to the county registrar. The notary listed on the will, Paul Richter, a name I didn't recognize. I asked to view the witness ledger. Paul's name appeared once. Beside it, Margaret Doyle. As witness. No B. No lawyer. No third party. Illegal. Invalid. Unless they had a way around the system. I turned to the clerk. "Can I get a certified copy of this?" Her fingers paused on the keyboard. "You already did," she said. My spine went still. "No, I didn't." She looked up. "Then someone did using your name." I was being erased, one document at a time. That night, I parked at the edge of the lodge's property. Kill the engine. Snow crunched under boots. From the treeline, I watched the light in BA's old office window flicker. A shadow moved inside. Not Margaret. Too tall. Too fast. The figure turned toward the glass. And the lights cut out. The trees swallowed me again. My breath sharp. My hands shaking. Something moved in the dark behind me. I spun. No one there. The wind howled low, carrying a voice I couldn't place. You're not supposed to be here. I ran. That's impossible, I whisper, staring at the signature. She couldn't have signed this. She was already dying in my arms. The snow crunched beneath my boots like bones. I circled to the side of the lodge, staying low, sticking to shadows. My breath fogged in bursts. Controlled. Quiet. The lights were still out, but someone had been in that office. And it wasn't Margaret. A cracked window pane let in the wind. The curtain inside danced like a warning. I waited. Nothing moved. Then I crossed the property line. Fast. Flat-footed. Bea once said, if you want to catch a thief, think like someone who's already lost something. I'd already lost her. I wasn't about to lose her legacy too. I slipped into the old tool shed. Dust. Oil. A dull handsaw hung from the rafters. I kept my flashlight off. Memory guided me better. 5th floorboard from the back. Her hidden stash box. I knelt, pried it up. Empty. No, not empty. A folded piece of paper. My name scrawled in trembling ink. Lex. If she's reading this, it means she found a way. There's a backup. I hid it where the air tastes like cedar and the light never touches the floor. Trust Fiona. She knows the rest. The air tasted like copper. The cedar room. Basement pantry. That's where she made her herbal oils. The one place Margaret would never step. She hated the smell of rosemary. I made my way back toward the house. Silence wasn't safety. It was loaded. Inside, I bypassed the front, slipping through the cellar hatch in the back slope. Cold stone hugged my skin as I descended. Halfway down, floorboards creaked above. Voices. Not loud. Not Margaret. Male. I froze. A door shut upstairs. Footsteps retreated. I moved. The pantry was exactly as I remembered. Wooden shelves. Jars labeled in shaky cursive. Cinnamon bark. Dried orange peels. Willow tincture. I opened the cedar drawer at the base. Found a rusted tin. Inside a USB drive. Small. Black. Unlabeled. And underneath it, a faded photo of Bea, smiling with Margaret and Fiona? No, not just them. A 4th person. Half-shadowed. Face turned. I lifted it closer to the emergency lantern. It was a man. Young. Something about the jawline clawed at me. I pocketed both and left, careful, silent, fast. Back at the motel, I locked the door, wedged a chair under the knob, drew the curtains. Then I plugged in the drive. One folder, one video, dated 4 days before she died. I clicked. BA's face filled the screen. She looked tired, her eyes sharp but sad, bruised with time. If you're watching this, Margaret got to me first, she said. She's trying to take what I built, what I saved. I tried to stop her, but the papers, they're not all in my control anymore. I leaned in. Bea inhaled slow. There's another will. With Fiona. It's dated and signed properly. I was clear in that one. I left the lodge to you, Lex. Only you. Because you saw it as a home, not a transaction. And because I needed to make something right before I left this place. She hesitated. There's more. More than I can explain here. Margaret's been moving things. Hiding numbers. Fiona found the trail. My fingers tightened on the desk edge. Don't go to the police first, Bea whispered. Not until you find the hard copy. It's with Fiona. But if she disappears, find the safe. Static. The screen froze, then went black. I stared at it, pulse thudding like a countdown. A knock at the motel door made me jump. Once. Twice. Too soft for management. Too late for friends. I approached slow. "Who is it?" I called. No answer. I peeked through the curtain. No one. But on the doormat, a folded piece of paper, weighed down by a single pine cone. I opened the door, snatched it fast, locked up again, unfolded it. "Don't dig up ghosts. They don't stay dead." My breath caught. Paranoia isn't a delusion when someone's actually watching. I moved to the window, cracked it open, listened. Nothing. Then, tires on gravel. I hit the lights, dropped to the floor. From under the curtain's edge, I watched a black SUV pull away. No plates. The next morning I made 2 calls. One to Fiona, straight to voicemail. Second to Colin. He answered on the first ring. "You still think this is a legal mix-up?" I asked. His voice shifted. Tense. "What happened?" "Someone's trying to scare me off, and I think Fiona's missing." "Where are you?" I gave him the address. "I'm coming. Don't open the door to anyone." I paused. Colin B said Fiona found something. Financial. He exhaled. I had a feeling. You don't move this fast unless you've been planning for years. I stared out at the snow-covered lot. "You think she planned this?" "Margaret," he said. "She's been 10 steps ahead since the day she married your father." I showered, dressed, checked the USB again. Still worked. Then I searched for the original will. Nothing online. No record of submission. Fiona never filed it. Why? Unless she was stopped. Or paid off. Or worse. The truth doesn't vanish. But people do. I opened BEA's note again. Read the line out loud. "Trust Fiona. She knows the rest." I stared at the frozen screen. BEA's paused face mid-blink. She knew. I say aloud to the empty room. She knew this was coming. I drove fast. Sleet hit the windshield like nails. Wipers slapped in sync with my pulse. Fiona Park didn't answer. Not her cell. Not her landline. Not her office line, which went straight to voicemail with the default message, like she never even set it up. Her house sat at the end of a narrow road cut through pine. I'd forgotten how isolated it was, hidden just enough to make you wonder if someone wanted it that way. No lights. Mailbox stuffed full. I parked 3 houses down, killed the engine, and walked. My boots sank into ice-packed dirt. The wind was sharp, angry. A thought flicked in. People don't vanish. They're removed. I reached her porch. Knelt beside the door. Broken latch. Not forced. Carefully unhinged. I tried the knob. Unlocked. I stepped inside. First thing I noticed, the silence wasn't natural. It wasn't peaceful. It was arranged. Cup on the counter. Half full. Still warm. TV muted, but on. Jacket on the couch. Her phone sat face down next to a legal pad. Scribbled numbers. A few circled names. One underlined twice. Margaret Doyle. I grabbed the phone. Locked. Fingerprint needed. Too late. Footsteps outside. I ducked under the window. A car drove past. Kept going. I exhaled, then turned toward the hallway. The bedroom door was half open. I pushed it. Bed made. Dresser, drawers ajar. Not ransacked, searched. Targeted. Closet door, slightly open. A heel poking out. One. Where was the other? I pulled open the door. Empty. Except for a faint smell, perfume, and bleach. I backed out. Phone buzzed. Colin. Where are you? He asked. Fiona's. You broken. I walked into an unlocked crime scene. Beat. I'm 5 minutes away. Click. I took Fiona's phone and notebook. On instinct, I went to her office desk. Bottom drawer. Locked. One kick. It popped. Inside, a red envelope marked insurance. I opened it. Bank records. Copies of account transfers. Not BA's accounts. Margaret's. 10,000. 20. 45. All within the last 2 years. Labeled as consulting fees. To a holding company in Nevada. Doyle Crest Limited. Not real. I took photos. Each document a nail in the coffin. Colin pulled up fast. Knocked once. I opened. She's gone, I said. He scanned the room. Saw what I saw. Wasn't a robbery, he said. Someone came here to clean. Or silence. He looked at me. You think she's dead? I think she knew something she shouldn't. He nodded. We need to go. Back at the motel, I cleared the desk. Spread out Fiona's notes. The folder. The USB. BEA's voice again, static chopped. There's another will. It clicked. The copy. The physical one. Fiona never filed it. Why? Because it wasn't safe. Because someone else was watching. I remembered BEA's words. If she disappears, find the safe. Not just any safe. Her safe. Back at the lodge. The one no one ever opened after my grandfather died. Because no one remembered the code. Except me. The snow turned to rain as I pulled into the lodge's driveway. Margaret's SUV was gone. Perfect. I ran inside. BEA's office was stripped bare, but the floor creaked the same under pressure. I knelt, pulled up the rug, revealed the old steel trapdoor. I twisted the dial. 3 numbers. I tried her anniversary. BEA's birth year. Nothing. Then I remembered what she always told me when I doubted myself. Truth tastes like cinnamon. I tried the combination. 219. Her favorite recipe, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. It clicked. Inside, fireproof box. I opened it. Stacks of documents. One labeled in red ink, will, final version. Signed, dated, witnessed by Fiona, leaving the lodge to me. I stared at it. My hand shook. A photo slipped free. It fell face up. B. Margaret. Fiona. And him. The 4th person. Face half turned, but I knew. Same chin. Same scar over the brow. My father. Dead 23 years ago. Or so I was told. I reached for the photo, heart hammering. A single sheet beneath it caught my eye. Bank statement. Margaret Doyle. Transfer of $50,000. Memo line. Final payment. Hush. I sat back. My skin felt like paper. If he was alive, why had he stayed hidden? Why had she paid someone to keep it that way? A sound outside. Tires crunching. I grabbed everything, bolted to the back. Out the cellar door. Through the trees. Car door slammed. Voices. Flashlight beams swept across the windows. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. She knew I had the will. She knew I had the photo. This wasn't about inheritance anymore. This was about exposure. She's not just trying to steal a lodge. She's trying to erase me. I didn't sleep. The motel room felt too small, the walls too thin, like they were listening. I kept the lights off, sat at the edge of the bed, will in one hand, Fiona's notebook in the other. The photo of my father lay between them. He wasn't dead. He wasn't dead, which meant everything I thought I knew, his accident, the funeral, the stories, were all constructs, built brick by my mother. I whispered to the dark, "Why would you kill a man who was already buried?" At dawn, Colin returned. He brought coffee and silence. He studied the photo, his brows furrowed. "That's him," I said. "My father." Colin didn't argue. He sat across from me. I pulled property records from BEA's holding company. 3 properties under Doyle Crest Limited. Margaret's shell account. Exactly, but one was recently transferred. Not sold, gifted. To who? He turned the laptop toward me. Daniel Abrams. Never heard of him, I said. You have, Colin replied. That's your father's real name. I froze. Colin scrolled. He changed it after the accident. Legally. In Nevada. Paper trail's light, but it's there. My throat dried. So what was the accident? Colin paused. No police report. No death certificate. Nothing verifiable. I blinked. Then what the hell happened to him? Margaret happened. We drove 2 hours south to Elko. Small town. 1 real diner. 2 churches. 1 private mailbox, rental storefront. And 1 address registered to Daniel Abrams. We parked down the block. Walked slow. I said nothing. Colin watched everything. The house was plain. Shutters closed. A dog barked once inside. I approached the door. Knocked. Nothing. I knocked again. Louder. Steps shuffled behind the door. Then, click. It opened 2 inches. A chain still on. A man peeked through. Gray hair. Weathered face. Eyes sharp as winter. Can I help you? He asked. I swallowed. Daniel. He didn't blink. You don't know me, I said. But I think I know you. Pause. Long. Then, you're Lex. My knees went weak. He closed the door. We heard the chain rattle. Then the knob turned again. The door opened. He didn't smile. He didn't hug me. He just said, I told her this day would come. Inside, everything smelled like pine and old books. Stacks of papers. Maps. A half-built model airplane on the table. I sat. He didn't. You're supposed to be dead, I said. I am in some ways. Why? He rubbed his hands together. Your mother gave me a choice. Disappear quietly or die loud. She told me you crashed your car drunk. I did crash, but not drunk, and not alone. I stared. He sighed. She was in the passenger seat. We fought. I told her I was leaving her. Going public. She grabbed the wheel. And we hit the ravine. She broke her wrist. I broke my face. And then she buried you. In a legal sense, yes. My stomach turned. He met my eyes. She paid off the investigator, declared me dead, and promised me if I showed my face, she'd come after you. You let her threaten me from the shadows? I was weak, he said, but not anymore. I stood. Be left me the lodge. Margaret forged a new will. Fiona's gone, and someone tried to erase me from county records. His jaw tightened. Then we don't have time. He walked to a drawer, pulled a file. Thick, heavy. Everything she's done, he said. The accounts, the transfers, even a wire to a man named Chase Weller. That name mean anything. My blood ran cold. Chase is the contractor she hired for the lodge. I saw him last week. He's not a contractor. He's her fixer. Former Army. Then private security. Now dirt work. I shook. He was there the night the lights went out. I saw a shadow. You probably saw your death being scheduled. Colin took the file, photographed everything. Daniel, my father, handed me a USB. It's encrypted, he said. Password is the same phrase be used with you when you cried as a kid. I didn't need to think. Cinnamon over everything. He smiled for the first time. Faint. Then it faded. You need to go public. I will. Now, before she burns the trail. I stood. Come with us. He shook his head. She'll know. If I move, she'll know. And if I don't, she'll kill me. He didn't argue. He just walked us out. Shut the door without another word. Back in the car, Colin asked, What now? I stared at the USB. Now we play her game better than she does. And if she's watching... I smiled hollow. Then let her see what happens when the ghost walks back into the spotlight. The first headline went up that night. Legal war brewing over Granite Hollow estate. Family fraud alleged. I leaked the will, sent it to every outlet that would listen, posted the photo of me and B, the real one, the video, the file. Within hours, my phone exploded. Reporters, activists, lawyers, and one anonymous number. Text only. You shouldn't have done that. She's not the only one who wants it gone. Rain slapped the windshield. Hard. Like hell was knocking. I had one thought as I drove away from town. No one knew what kind of monster Margaret really was. Not yet. My phone buzzed. A public alert. Legal battle intensifies over Doyle estate. Allegations of fraud and forgery. Investigation underway. It read like a headline I should have celebrated. I didn't, because headlines don't keep you alive. 2 hours south, Elko appeared like a ghost town between storms, shuttered storefronts, empty streets, puddles like shallow eyes staring back at me. I parked, engine idling. The address Daniel Abrams had given me was a single-story bungalow with faded green paint and a sagging porch. The place looked abandoned. Wind rattled the windows. I walked up the steps. Knocked once. No answer. I knocked again. Soft this time. Footsteps inside. Heavy. Careful. The door opened an inch. A pair of eyes met mine. Gray. Empty in ways sorrow carved out. Daniel. I asked. He didn't answer. Just stood there. Then stepped aside. Inside, the air was thick with old paper and pine cleaner. A single lamp glowed on a desk cluttered with files. He motioned for me to sit. I didn't. I needed answers. Why did you let her lie about your death? I said. Daniel didn't flinch. He folded his hands. Truth doesn't always survive deceit, he said. I frowned. That's not an answer. He paused, then pointed to a crumpled wall calendar. August 23rd circled in red ink. Accident. I nodded. Not an accident, he said. He reached under the desk and pulled out a worn folder. Inside, police reports. Or what should have been. But the pages were blank. Stamped with declined in bold letters. Your mother made sure no official report was ever filed, he said. My heart thumped. My breath fell sharp. Why? I asked. His jaw tightened. She wanted control. I shook my head. No, that's too small a motive. Daniel slid a photo across the desk. Familiar faces at a lodge renovation site. Margaret, Fiona, and someone else. Someone I didn't expect. Not just a fixer. Not just a contractor. But a man who looked back at me with dark eyes and a crooked smile. It was Chase Weller. I stood. Why is he here? Daniel's voice dropped. He's been watching you longer than you know. I blinked. Slow. Like time stretching before a fall. What do you mean? He wasn't just a contractor, Daniel said. He was security for Margaret. Then became something closer. My breath hitched. Closer how? Daniel didn't want to say. Instead, he slid a USB to me. Encrypted. Locked. I knew the password before I thought it. BEA's code. Cinnamon over everything. I typed it. Files opened. Emails. Messages. A thread between Margaret and Chase. Cold. Clinical. She doesn't need to die. Just disappear. My hand shook. I dropped the USB. A sudden crack outside made me jump. Rain hammered the roof. Wind thrummed like wings of something angry. The porch light flickered. Then went out. Then on again. Then off. Nothing natural. I moved to the window. A silhouette stood under the street lamp. Tall. Unmoving. Staring. Then vanished. Like a blink. I backed away. Phone buzzed. Colin. Lex, you okay? His voice was tight. I'm with Daniel, I said. Someone's outside. He exhaled hard. I'm on my way. Click. I turned. The front door was ajar. Just a crack. My heart thumped. Heavy. I reached for the lamp. Then stopped. Breath held. I stepped toward the door. 1 step. 2. And then the storm hit a power line. A crack. A flash. The lights went out. Only the thunder remained. I moved toward the hallway. Slow. Cautious. Rain seeped under the door. Cold. I reached the living room. And froze. Chase Weller stood there. Boots muddy. Rainwater dripping down his jacket. Not angry. No. Smiling. A hard, cruel smile. Looking for me? His voice was calm. Too calm. Like he'd rehearsed it. I swallowed, breath shallow. I know what you are, I said. You're not just here for Mom's lies. He tilted his head. Good, he said. Because this isn't about the lodge anymore. My pulse spiked. What then? His eyes didn't waver. It's about making sure the truth never gets past you. I didn't believe him. Not yet. So I moved. Fast. 1 step, then another. I lunged. He shoved me back. Hard. I hit the wall. Pain shot up my spine. I staggered. He advanced. Slow. Methodical. You shouldn't have come here alone, he said. I steadied my breath. Remembered BEA's words. Truth sometimes burns, but lies always suffocate. I kicked out. He jerked back. Off balance. I seized the moment. Dodged past him. Grabbed the lamp. Smash. Glass shattered. I bolted. Rain blasted me as I hit the front yard. Chase didn't follow. He just watched. A predator content. I ran to the street. Slipped in mud. Got up. Kept going. I reached my car. Keys in hand. Engine cranked. I sped off. Heart pounding like war drums. My phone lit up. A text. She's not just stealing my future. She's burning down my past. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Not yet. Not with the storm rising behind me. My pulse was loud. Too loud. But I knew one thing. I was closer than ever. And I wasn't alone in this fight. The game had changed. And so had I. The lodge burned like a confession. Flames climbed the cedar walls. Windows burst. Smoke rolled into the night like something alive. Sirens wailed in the distance, but they sounded small. Too late. I stood across the road, rain soaking my hair, watching the place where he taught me to read the stars collapse in on itself. Colin gripped my arm. You okay? I nodded. Leet. The fire chief barked orders. Hoses sprayed. Steam hissed. Cameras flashed. A crowd gathered, hungry for spectacle. A woman behind me whispered, Family always destroys itself. I didn't turn, because I knew exactly who had struck the match. 3 hours later, I sat in the back of an unmarked car, wet, shivering, furious. Colin slid a tablet into my hands. Eliza's running the story. Everything. The will. The shell company. The fixer. Your father. It's going live in 10. Good, I said. Let it burn. Already is, he replied. The screen lit up. Breaking. Doyle Air accuses mother of arson, fraud, and conspiracy. The comments exploded. The shares multiplied. Truth moves fast when it finally gets oxygen. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. I answered. Her voice was calm. Too calm. You always did like attention, Margaret said. I closed my eyes. Where's Fiona? Silence. Then, you don't get to make demands. I leaned forward. You're not in control anymore. She laughed. Soft. That's adorable. The line went dead. We tracked the signal. Black Pine Lake. Abandoned cabins. No cell service. No witnesses. Colin drove. Hard. Headlights cutting through the fog. Rain streaked like tears down the glass. I loaded the recording app on my phone. Why, he asked. Because monsters hate mirrors, I said. He didn't smile. The cabin was dark. One light on. Inside. A generator hummed. Colin raised a hand. I stopped. We moved slow. Quiet. The door creaked. I slipped in. The smell hit first. Bleach. Gasoline. Something sweet. Antifreeze. Fiona lay on the couch, wrists bound, eyes closed. Alive. Barely. Relief slammed into me. Then a click. Behind. Drop the phone, Margaret said. I turned. She stood 10 feet away. Gun steady. Hair immaculate. Not a tremor in her hand. You really are stubborn, she said. I lifted the phone. Didn't drop it. You burned the lodge, I said. She shrugged. Sentiment is a liability. And Fiona. She was a complication. I laughed. A short, broken sound. You know what they say, the truth is patient, but it never forgets. Her jaw tightened. Your father was a mistake, she snapped. You were a consequence. I felt then. The old wound. The one I carried like a bruise under bone. I straightened. No, I was your mirror. That's why you tried to break me. She raised the gun. Colin stepped out of the shadows. Margaret Doyle, he said. Drop it. She turned the barrel toward him. In that breath, the world narrowed. Sound dropped. Time slowed. Her finger tightened. I moved. Not smart. Not safe. Just necessary. I lunged. The gun fired. The window exploded. Glass rained. Colin tackled her. The gun skidded. He kicked it away. She screamed. Wild. Animal. Let me go. Fiona stirred. Groaned. Sirens grew. Margaret collapsed. Laughing. Crying. Both. You think this ends me, she hissed. You think I'm the villain. I knelt in front of her. Met her eyes. I think you chose this, I said. And now you get to own it. Colin cuffed her. Read her rights. She didn't listen. She stared at me, like she was seeing something she couldn't destroy. The courtroom was a storm of cameras. Reporters shouted. Lights flashed. Charges stacked. Arson, fraud, identity theft, attempted murder, conspiracy. Fiona testified. My father testified. The fixer flipped. The shell company collapsed. Margaret didn't look at me. Not once. When the judge spoke, the room held its breath. Guilty. Across the board. Her shoulders sagged. Not defeated. Exposed. Weeks later, the land was quiet. The lodge was ash. But the mountain remained. I stood where the porch had been, boots in soot, wind in my hair. Colin joined me. You could sell. Start over. I shook my head. B said people don't come here for perfection. They come to remember they're still alive. He smiled. You gonna rebuild? Yes. He nodded. Good. I looked out at the trees, the sky, the place that tried to be taken from me. Some people think blood is destiny, I said. I think it's just a story, and stories can be rewritten. Colin's voice was soft. You okay? I inhaled. The air was cold, clean. No, I said, but I will be. He didn't argue. That night I watched the stars, just like B taught me, and I whispered into the dark. You didn't raise me to be quiet. The wind moved through the pines. Not applause, but agreement. The lodge was gone. The lies were gone. And the truth finally had a place to stand.